It's Sunday, August 6, 2023. I'm going to get right into this video today. Before I do, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. And I hope everybody's having a great weekend. And I hope everybody is taking some time this weekend to continue preparations, because I'm going to just share more articles with you, more data, and more reasons why we all must continue on the path of our preparations. Things are going to get to a critical point here, ladies and gentlemen, and time is of the essence. Time is one of the most important assets that we have, and we take it for granted, and we shouldn't be doing that. But this first article I was reading last night on CNBC, Fed spokesman says more U.S. rate hikes likely will be needed. She wants to see inflation on a meaningful path, it says, back to 2%. In order to do that, she says, we're going to need more rate hikes. Michelle Bowman said, and she's the governor here at the Fed, I also expect that additional rate increases will likely be needed to get inflation on a path down to the FOMC's 2% target. We should remain willing to raise the federal funds rate at a future meeting if the incoming data indicate that progress on inflation has stalled. Now, I don't know if this is going to have any effect tomorrow on the markets, but you have Governor Michelle Bowman of the Fed saying that more rate hikes are going to be needed. Not good news for the markets. Not good news if you're buying a house and need to borrow money, if you need to borrow money to buy a car, you're financing credit. It's not good news. Then we have Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic. We have broad-based inflation, and Fed will be restricting well into 2024. Again, not good news for the markets this week. Now, look, Dow Jones could be up 500 points tomorrow. There are no fundamentals in these markets. It's very confusing, ladies and gentlemen. But from all accounts, we're being told right now, we're being warned that the Fed is going to continue to raise rates, that they do not have inflation under control, and they're probably not going to get it under control for a very, very long time. Fox Business, monthly costs for home buyers rise nearly 20%. And this is happening while people's bills are piling up and while people have no savings. They're tapping into retirements. They've wiped out their savings accounts, and monthly costs for home buyers rise 20% compared with a year ago. Typical mortgage for a U.S. home buyer right now, the average is $2,605. You take that with the typical cost of a new vehicle, it's $750. Family of four, groceries per month, easily $1,000 per month. Health insurance for a family, $1,000 a month. So, I mean, add it up. That just with that alone, you've got nearly $5,000 a month just to pay the car payment, the mortgage, the groceries, and health insurance for a family. $4,000 a month. I don't know how people are doing this. Please comment down below. But this debt-to-income ratio that we're seeing is completely unsustainable. If you look at some of the data from REVenture Consulting, 39.9% of household income is going towards the mortgage, and that's before taxes. This is very, very dangerous. That means people are one little mistake, one little accident, one little hiccup away from big, big trouble. The Hedge today. These are the U.S. cities with the most vacant offices. Again, this is another troubling sign for the U.S. economy. We are on the cusp of seeing the worst commercial real estate crisis in the history of the U.S. The national average vacancy rate of U.S. offices has climbed. We're going to see this continue. If we look at office buildings across America, from some of the worst ones, and I won't go over all of them. San Francisco, 19.8% of office buildings in San Francisco are vacant. New York, City South, 14.2%. Austin, Texas, 14.2%. Seattle, 13.4%. New York City, downtown, 10.7%. Phoenix, 10.6%. These are massive numbers. Columbus, 10.6%. Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, 10.4%. New York City, Midtown, 10.4%. And when we look at the Austins, the Phoenix, the New Yorks, I mean, these are some of the hottest real estate markets at one time, and now everything is cooling off. It is anticipated, get this, it is anticipated that by the year 2030, over 300 million square feet of U.S. office space will be obsolete. We are going to watch this commercial real estate collapse really begin to intensify over the next 12 to 18 months, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of fallout does that mean we're going to see in regards to the U.S. economy? You know, how many investors, banks, financial institutions, pensions are tied in to commercial real estate? And what happens when these properties default, and we begin to find the true value of these properties, that they're probably 30, maybe 40 cents on the dollar? This is going to be bad trouble for regional banking, because 70% of those loans on commercial real estate came from the regional banks, the smaller to mid-sized banks. And we're going to see more big trouble in banking. We're going to see more banks collapse. We're going to see more consolidations. But somebody here is going to pay a very, very big price for commercial real estate. And you know, I think the vacancy rates can only climb at this point, because now you have to add on a collapsing economy on top of all this. Yes, many people are staying home and working, but also on the flip side of that, you have a lot of people who are getting laid off, losing jobs. And we're looking at these major hotels and these major office buildings where the owners are just, you know, handing in the keys and saying, hey, we just can't pay it. You've got interest rates exploding, much of this debt coming due at the end of this year and next year. And at rates where they're at, they cannot refinance these properties. So they're going to be dead in the water here. So we're going to see big trouble there. And here's another one from the Hedge today. Central bank gold demand in first half of 2023 was the highest on record. You have to ask yourself, I know that there's people out there, there's 3 or 4 people that watch these videos that absolutely hate gold because their cryptos have been destroyed. You know, Joe Blow crypto went to zero, it collapsed. You know, thousands upon thousands of these little cryptos have completely disappeared forever. Bitcoin is struggling. And so we have 3 or 4 people that watch this channel that absolutely despise gold, because guess what? Gold's not going to zero. Gold's never going to zero. And the worse this gets, gold only goes higher. And at some point, you know, we can't even really put gold in dollar value, because what if something happens to the dollar? We're watching more competition coming to the US dollar, and at some point we're not going to measure wealth in dollars. We may have to measure our wealth in ounces. You may not take dollar bills for your silver or gold, ladies and gentlemen, because it's going to be worthless. You're going to have to take other assets or other monies, maybe foreign money, because the dollar is going down, and it may not, you know, go to zero, but it's going to be a third world currency. It's going to be another peso. But getting into this article, net central bank gold purchases totaled 387 tons through the first half of this year. What do the central banks know that 98% of Americans do not know? What do the majority of Chinese know that the average American does not? The People's Bank of China was the biggest buyer, adding 103 tons of gold to its official holding. I wonder how much gold they unofficially hold. China holds much more gold than its offering reveals. Singapore added 73 tons. Poland added 48 tons. Now my question to you is, how much did you add to your portfolio? Do you think it's important? Comment down below. Is gold just going to be this worthless so-called rock? I doubt it, because I've been buying gold since 2005 when it was $500. Where are we at today? 1970? I mean, you know, you've got to be prepared to buy this stuff and hold it. Don't even think about it for years, and hope that and pray that you never ever have to use it. You know, my biggest fear is we begin to see gold go to some crazy numbers. If it went to $5,000 to $10,000, some people say it could go much more. Great, but you have to remember, when we get to that point, it's going to be a very, very dangerous world that we're living in. You may not want to leave your house at that point. Yes, you may have a lot of wealth in gold. You may have a lot of purchasing power, but think about what society is going to look like when we get to that point. And I think we are heading to that point. I don't think many people now can deny where we are heading and the importance of owning gold. Look what these central banks are doing. What do they know? Ask yourself, if you're one of these gold haters, you despise gold, why are the central banks stockpiling gold and not cryptos? I'll tell you why. Because they know that gold has a 5,000-year history. They know it can never be worth zero. And they know that it's going to come to the forefront here in the global community, that it is going to begin to back other currencies, other fiat currencies and digital currencies. It's going to be backed by gold, ladies and gentlemen. The writing is on the wall. These banks are buying this stuff for a reason, and they know it's on sale now. It's below $2,000 an ounce. They know it's on sale, and they're definitely manipulating these markets and suppressing it so they can back up the trucks and buy it. Why are you not adding some of this to your portfolio? People always ask me where I buy gold. Somebody asked me the other day that watches the show, came up to me and asked me about, my thoughts on buying gold. Well, I buy gold all the time, and I've acquired a decent amount of gold and silver. And in the last 4.5 years, SD Bullion, you go to my link down below, reputable, great company. And that's the only place for the last 4.5 years I've been buying my gold and silver. SD Bullion, link down below. And I know that people are going to freak out because I directed them to an SD Bullion link. Don't freak out. You can buy your gold wherever your heart desires. You can buy it at the coin shops. You can buy it at the pawn shops. You can buy it from a jeweler. You can buy it from your favorite gold and silver broker, whoever you want to buy from. I'm just saying, I think that it's probably a good idea to have some. That's not financial advice. If you were sitting across from me right there, and you were a family member or you were at my house as a friend, I would advise that right now you probably have at least 20% of your portfolio in it. What's the worst case scenario? It's never going to zero. Yes, it can go down, but you're holding some cash. Maybe you have some other investments. So you're diversifying as much as you can, but you have got to connect the dots here and see what's going on globally now. America is unfortunately going down, and we're watching other countries begin to rise, like China. And we know with the Shanghai Exchange, we know with the stockpiling of gold, what China is doing, what the BRICS nations are planning on doing. Look, America cannot defeat the entire world. America cannot manipulate and control the entire world. The BRICS nations are coming. They're going to change the entire fiat standard. America took the world off the gold standard, but it looks like the world's going to come back and put America back on the gold standard. Unfortunately, America probably doesn't have all that much gold now, and we're going to lose our place at the table. We're going to go from here all the way down here. And it's unfortunate. It really is. But that's no excuse for all of us that we can't be doing something to protect ourselves. This whole thing now is so out of control. There's nothing that can stop what is about to happen. We're going to see a global depression, in my opinion, a global collapse. We're going to see new currencies rise. I think they're going to be backed at least partially by gold, fiat, digital, whatever they may be. There's going to be new money systems. And we have to be prepared for that. We cannot stop what is coming. The end of the world is not coming. I know a lot of people say it's over, it's done, we're all going to die, it's game over. Not so fast. That's not the case. Things are going to change. Maybe not the way we want them to, but we are going to have to evolve with these changes. We're going to have to protect our wealth. In fact, we're even going to have to increase our wealth during these times, because this is going to be a giant wealth transfer, and you have got to be prepared to take advantage of it. This is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity for people who have real money, who have assets, who have some cash right now, people who have no debt, and people who are awake and who are exercising patience. There's going to be huge opportunity coming. And so as much as I hate to say, you have to have some cash right now too. Cash still, in my opinion, is very, very important. And it's still going to be one of those currencies that has some purchasing power until it doesn't. But if we begin to see big trouble in the dollar, I'm gonna be running to SD Bullion as fast as I can to unload this cash. But right now, it's about being diversified. Cash, gold, silver, land, income producing property. That's what I'm doing. This economy, ladies and gentlemen, is in complete failure. And very soon, many of you may be on your own. I was just thinking about, just thinking out loud a little bit this morning, and so many people are dependent on the system. They need to be told what to do. They have to watch the television. Tomorrow morning, they'll have the financial shows on, and they're going to listen to the people in the suits telling them what to do, and go buy a house, and everything's going to be okay. And they're completely being hoodwinked. They're completely being bamboozled. And this is very unfortunate, because so many people are going to get wiped out because they depend on the news, they depend on the system, they depend on the government, they depend on people to tell them what's going on, even though they're being flat out lied to. If we just go back and look at gas prices in 2018, not that long ago, they were fluctuating between $1.77 and $2.96. Today, gas prices in California on average are $5.05, in Washington $4.99, Hawaii $4.73, Oregon $4.65, Alaska $4.41, Nevada $4.33, Utah $4.11, Illinois $4.06. People will say, "Oh, things, this is very negative. You need to be more optimistic." No, we need to be more awake. We need to be more realistic, and we need to be preparing. This 3% inflation that we're being lied about every day, there's no way inflation is only 3%. Right now, we're looking at gas prices. I'm looking at utility prices. Go to the grocery store, look at cereals, bakery goods, bread, up 8.8% since last June 2022. But the television is telling you and me that everything is okay, but yet most Americans I know, and I read as many of those comments as I can. I talk to people daily. I have friends. I have family members. Everybody is feeling the pain. I have less purchasing power. You have less purchasing power. And, people who have no savings, people who are poor are really, really feeling the pain. People just cannot afford to keep doing this. And when you look at the average American that doesn't even have $400 for an emergency, a $400 emergency, that's a small emergency. Emergencies are getting much more expensive. So most people cannot even afford an emergency. So what are they going to do? This is really, I don't have the words to describe the mess that we are in right now. And my heart goes out to people who are struggling. But the bottom line is this. Recently, we've seen bank collapses, these trucking company collapses, strategic oil reserves at the lowest level since 1984. And now they're saying that we don't even think that we can even refill these things because it's so hard to do. So we're not prepared for World War. We're not prepared for an emergency as a country. So what do? We cannot, unfortunately, we don't really have much control. Most of this is out of our control. We cannot fill up the strategic petroleum reserves. We can't fix the trucking collapse, the shipping collapse, the banking collapse, the retail collapse, the societal collapse. We can't fix any of this. But what we can do is we can fix what's going on in our own world, what's going on in our own families. So that means that we can stock up on food today. We can go get some extra water. We can get some rice and beans. We can get some powdered milk. We can get some water filtration systems. I highly, highly advise that you have a way to filter water. I have 3 filtration devices and probably will end up getting more. I'm moving to a property, hopefully in the near future here. It's mandatory that there's water on that property, that there's a pond on that property, that we can filtrate. But I think a water filtration system, knowing how polluted that our water system is right now, the water that's coming right out of your tap, you need to be filtering that water right now, not just when the lights go out. You need to be filtering your water right now, but you need to be adding the rice and beans, the powdered milk, the emergency foods. Go and buy 3 months of emergency food and add some rice, add some beans, add some water, add a filtration system. Nothing's cheap, nothing's free, but you can still go buy canned food pretty cheap. but you're going to have to make some sacrifices, unfortunately. Maybe you don't go out to dinner Friday night. Maybe you don't go drinking Saturday night. Maybe you don't go to Vegas this weekend. Maybe, you put a little peace of mind into your family and go buy $100 or $1,000 of this stuff, or start adding a little bit every week to your stock. But I think it's so critical right now to be doing this. And if nothing happens, great, you have some extra food. But on top of just that, you need to be getting skill sets. You need to know how to defend yourself, defend your assets, defend your family. These are all things that you need to be talking about with your family right now. I can't, it's too much when I watch people always giving advice like, go get some food and water and a couple ounces of silver and you're going to be okay. No, that's not going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. We're way past that. I mean, take a look at what just the riot that just took place in New York. Take a look at the riots that happen literally every weekend in Chicago. Take a look at what's happening in Baltimore. Look at what the crime wave that is happening right here. Irvine, California, it's, smash and grabs at jewelry stores. Right out here in Riverside, another smash and grab at a jewelry store. People being, assaulted every day. Lyft drivers being assaulted. We just had another luxury store in LA, smash and grab for thousands and thousands of dollars. Apple stores, smash and grabs. I mean, it just goes on and on and on top of all the break-ins at homes and all the vicious assaults that have been taking place. It's going to take a lot more than a couple ounces of silver, a couple bottles of water, and a couple bags of rice to get through this, okay? This is going to get gnarly, and you've got to get in a mindset. You got to have the skill sets, to get through this. Again, these people, it just drives me nuts that's their advice. Get get a couple cans of beans, get some water, get some silver, and you're going to be okay. That is the farthest. Look, that's wonderful, but that's like what you need to be doing later. What you better be doing right now is really understanding the importance of security, because everything we're seeing, this is coming to a town near you. And when people get desperate, especially hungry, they're going to be kicking in your door to see what you have to eat, what type of assets you have that they can take and go sell for some food, for a loaf of bread, for a can of beans. Now, if you're okay with people just taking your stuff, don't worry about security. I'm not going to allow that to happen. I know that probably 99.9% of the people watching this video aren't going to allow that to happen to them either, or allow their family members to be hurt. So security is, next to God, the number one asset on planet Earth. Make sure you're taking care of that. And, when we talk security, make sure that you really, really train. Even if you have to go hire somebody, that's probably one of the best things you could do. Hire somebody to teach you really the tactics and the training and how to really use those tools. Because I think that's one of the best investments you could possibly make for you and your family. And I'm going to close with this last article. And it's a little bit maybe off the subject here, but how Tori Spelling shopped her way from a $150 million mansion to an RV park. Now, many of you may not know who Tori Spelling is. She used to be the blonde girl on Beverly Hills 90210, that television show that was kind of directed at teenagers. But very interesting reading what's going on with her. She's 50 years old, has 5 kids. She's been basically living with her and her kids out of cheap hotels and RV parks. Now, she grew up in a house in, I think, 88 on. Her dad built the manor in Beverly Hills. And this house sold in 2019. He had passed away. They sold the house in 2019 for $119 million. 60,000 square feet this house was. Massive, just massive, a castle. And so Tori Spelling is now living in RV parks and budget hotels. They said that she was spending $100,000 a month on just clothing, shoes, handbags, just an addicted shopper. That she had boxes all the way to the ceiling that had never even been opened. She was just addicted to shopping. So she's broke now. So when her father died, Aaron Spelling, he left Tori with $800,000. Her brother Randy was left $800,000. Her mother received most of the $600 million inheritance. So look, $800,000 is nothing to sneeze at, but she blew through it very, very quickly. Apparently her brother Randy is a life coach, couple kids, wife. I believe he lives in Oregon, and I guess he's doing okay. But this is a sad reminder of how quick somebody can go broke. And if you just keep spending money that you don't really have, that was just given to you, it's gonna go, and it's never gonna be replaced, right? She's not working, basically. I mean, she's never gonna make the kind of money that she did, but she can't replace this money. And so it's a reminder to all of us that we really have to respect money, because if you just burn it up and you're just buying shoes and clothes, and like in her case, she didn't even know it was in the boxes. And we have so many people now that just buy stuff on Amazon, dumb stuff they don't even need. People still buying stuff they don't even know what they're buying. They just want to buy. They love having stuff delivered from Amazon. They just like the feeling, I think, of making a purchase and opening up a box. But people are spending so much money on credit cards, money they don't even have. This was money that wasn't even really hers. It was just given to her by her dad. So it was basically just an open checking account until the money was gone. And now it's gone and the money's not coming back. And this is what's going to happen to a lot of people. They're going to come to a point where those credit cards are going to be tapped out and there's no more money. Just like Tori Spelling, there's no more shopping. It's over. Now it's RV parks and cheap hotels. And the average person is going to run into the same problem that Tori Spelling has already run into. She's tapped out. Many Americans are coming to the realization that very, very soon they're going to be tapped out. So they've gone through their savings accounts. Now they're wiping out their retirement accounts. They're wiping out their credit lines with the credit card companies. And where do you go after that? Well, you go to the same place Tori Spelling is going. You're going to go to budget hotels, you're going to go to RV parks, and then you're going to go homeless. That's what's going to happen. So it's a sad state of affairs, but we're going to see a lot of Tori Spellings in America because Tori Spelling didn't respect money. Most Americans don't respect money either, and they don't respect reality because they're ignoring the dangers of reality. There is a category 5 hurricane, financial hurricane coming right now, ladies and gentlemen, and people aren't respecting it. And that's okay, because that hurricane doesn't really care what color you are. It doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care anything about you. It's just going to roll right over you, and it's going to wipe out a lot of people. Again, it doesn't care what you look like, what color you are, how old you are, what your political beliefs are. It does not care, because you're unprepared, and it's going to wipe out the unprepared, and it's going to take no prisoners, and we're going to see people really, really in big trouble. And if they don't have churches and families to fall back on, you're going to see a huge, huge wave of homelessness in America, and that number is continuing to grow. I wonder why. I'm going to leave it there today. God bless every one of you. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share this video, and we'll see what happens tomorrow with these fraudulent markets. We'll see what the fraudulent news tells us on the television tomorrow, and we'll see how they plan on fixing all of this as things continue to get worse and as inflation continues to spiral out of control. God bless. Be safe. Pray for this country, ladies and gentlemen, because this country is in so much trouble, and without a miracle, we are done. God bless.